If you're a business owner and you're concerned with losing employees, you've come to a good video to watch. I'm not going to tell you that it's easy to retain employees over a long time, but it is very possible. And it's pretty simple, the process in doing that. If you think about the downsides of losing an employee, I can name three. One is that it's going to cost you between 1.5 and 2 times the salary of that person that you lost to train the new person. Secondly, the cost is to your personal burnout, to your people having burned out as well, the rest of them having to take up the slack on the lost employee. And then finally, there are more service failures because the new employee has a learning curve and they have to make a few mistakes. We've defined the cost. They're certainly huge, and therefore focusing on retaining your employees is a good and worthy thing to do. One of the things that I want to start with is you don't have to pay a lot of money to keep employees. Really, pay is on the list, but it's not at the top of the list. It's good for you to know what the general pay rate is for people in that position, but you don't have to pay at the top of the range. And as a matter of fact, a couple of examples, when I started my first business, I told people, look, join us. We can't pay you a lot of money, but stay with us. You'll be glad you did. And over the long haul, we did pay them well. Secondly, a great show to watch is Undercover Billionaire. And if you haven't watched that, I highly recommend you do that. But every one of those billionaires that were profiled, they were able to onboard employees without any pay, zero pay. They brought them on and got a lot of work out of these people who really did not even have a promise of being paid. So it is possible to bring people on and not have to pay them at the top of the scale. The most important thing that you have to do is to create a caring, nurturing culture. That is, if you can create a place where people feel like you care about them and you're going to nurture them and help them to grow, they're going to stay with you. As business owners, we tend to catch people doing things wrong. It's easy for us to see mistakes that people are making and not really look at the good things that they're doing. I want you to train your eye on the good things that your people do, and you'll get about a 10-time fold return on your investment by catching people doing things right. You do that verbally in front of their peers, and they're going to try hard to hear that praise again. The next thing I want to talk about is your vision, values, and mission. You should have those. If you don't, you should have a clear plan where your business is going to be in 5 years, 1 year, the way you treat your people, what's in it for your employees, what are the benefits, why should they stay with you and help you achieve your vision. You should have strong values in your business, the way that you treat each other, and you should work hard to practice what you're preaching there. And people need to see what your company is all about. And if you can do that through your vision, values, and mission, that can go a long way. And not only just having something pretty on the wall, but I'm talking about using that when you interview prospects and when you onboard them, you're training them. And virtually every meeting you do, you want to read a piece of your vision so that people will keep that vision in front of them and won't get discouraged. You also want to think about psychometric profiling. And not a lot of business owners really understand this concept or practice it. But if you can decide on the type of person that you want, you can place somebody in that position that's going to thrive. They're going to do well because they're made for that type of work that they're doing. And they will stay in that position for a long period of time because you pick the right person for that role that they're doing. Psychometric profiling. And I'm going to talk about that in our next video, why that's so important to small businesses. You want to praise your people publicly in front of their peers, but if you want to criticize them, you want to do that privately. Don't do it in front of other people. Think about the criticism sandwich technique. That is, you start with praise, something that's good about the person. You criticize them in a tactful way. Here's how you can improve. And then you finish up with praise, something that you're good about. If you do that, it's a lot easier for you to give that feedback to your people, and they will jump hurdles for you because you treat them with respect. Stephen Covey, in the book Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, talks about making emotional bank account deposits. You want to make those positive deposits by saying positive things about your people that gives them something to live up to, but it builds up that bank account, because one of these days you're going to need to make a withdrawal, right? You're going to need to criticize them. And if you build them up with those positive deposits, then you can make that withdrawal and have plenty of money left in the bank. You want to create a performance incentive plan. And I've got a great video to watch if you haven't seen it yet on how you can do that. And you want to personalize it for each employee. That is, people are motivated by different things. Some are motivated by money, some by praise, some by gifts, maybe time off. Think about what each employee is looking for and give them that incentive that they need. You want to invite ideas and constructive criticism in your meetings. You want people to be able to say what they want, to be honest with you, and you're not going to lash out at them if they do. If you ever do, that's the last time you get any feedback from them. But you want people to be honest with you. And if you do that, you're going to engage them. They'll feel like they're part of the team. They'll stay with you a long time. Having a suggestion box is a good idea if you will take their suggestions, read them before a meeting, and it can be anonymous. You don't have to say who it's from, and you take action on that. The same is true for any feedback or criticism you get in a meeting. You want to show them that you're going to take action. You respect their ideas and you're going to take action. Doesn't have to be on everything, but many things you do want to do that. Next is never, ever criticize an employee behind their back. That is death to, that's like a stab in the back. In some way or another, it'll get back to them. So you do want to speak kindly behind their back. And only if you're going to criticize them, that's only between you and the employee in a private meeting. You want to empower your employees. That is, you want to give them the ability to satisfy the customer. And another video, I'll tell you a story about the Ritz-Carlton, but basically they empower their people to make those decisions. So they're really like the CEO of that decision, but you do want to empower your people. If you do that, they're going to want to stay with you. Finally, you want to do good things for your community. That is, it shouldn't just be about the money. And this ought to be in your value statement. There ought to be some cause, a charitable cause, some passion that maybe you have that you want to support, and your people can see that you're not just in it for the money. If you do those things that I shared with you in this video, you're going to see a positive impact in your business. People will care more. They'll care about each other more. They'll feel part of the team or part of the family. And you can expect that your employee retention rate is going to go up. Help you appreciate those tips. Hope you have a great day.